we're going to have a look at who Boyum as a company is and what exactly the B1 Usability Pack is. We'll then sort of delve into why we should use it. After we have a look at a demonstration of some of the features, we'll also have a look at some of the other Boyum offerings. All right, firstly, who are Boyum? So Boyum is a Danish company that was founded in 1997 by Michael Boyum, who is their CEO. They have sales offices all around the world and have been a certified SAP Business One partner since 2004. Not only do Boyum produce fantastic add-ons for SAP Business One, but they actually are an SAP Business One implementation partner as well in Europe. They have 150 plus international employees, and they have 100% focus on SAP Business One. They've also now become the largest SAP add-on software solution provider globally after acquiring a number of companies such as BS and Projumx. All right, so what is the Boyum B1 Usability Pack and why should you use it? So to really sum it up quite easily, the Boyum Usability Pack is essentially your ultimate SAP Business One toolbox. Now, SAP Business One has a fantastic toolbox out the box with regards to customizations that consultants and also end users can do. But Boyum basically gives us the ultimate toolbox, a much larger set of tools to be able to do a lot of different activities with regards to customizing your SAP Business One, as well as achieving workflow automations and also giving you additional wonderful features such as their very impressive dashboards. And some of the things that you will definitely get as a result of purchasing the Boyum B1 Usability Pack is definitely an increase in accuracy and data capture. It has the really nice ability to clamp down on making fields mandatory, but not only does it allow you to do this, it allows you to do it very easily without having to write any code to achieve it. It can also save you a lot of time as well. So there are quite a number of tools that they provide that can allow you to automate certain processes. You can import information from text files or even export information to text files. Create custom logic as well, which you wouldn't actually be able to do without the SAP Business One software development kit by creating your own SAP Business One add-on. All right, so we're going to have a bit of a demonstration now of some of the features of the Boyum Business One Usability Pack. I'll basically go through a scenario for each one of these points and basically get a little bit of a better understanding and feel for what you can achieve with the Business One Usability Pack. All right, so I'm going to jump onto my SAP Business One system over here. And first and foremost, we're going to have a look at the Boyum dashboards. Now, the Boyum dashboards are a turnkey feature in the usability pack. So once the add-on has been installed in the system, very little effort is required to actually enable this. So all I'd have to do is literally go into about 2 tick boxes, tick those and click update. And I am basically able to get information, pretty much exactly what you can see in front of you over here. Now, Boyum has been kind enough to give us a huge amount of dashboards and graphs and all sorts of widgets out the box. And they have grouped it together in various views. So you can see over here at the top, we've got our different views. So we've got a sales view, a purchase view, finance view, service, production, sales opportunities, and then you can actually add your own ones as well, like I've done over here. And this basically allows you to create your own kind of mix and match version of dashboards that you want to see, be it widgets like the sales process flow over here, the world map, or if you just want to see graphs, then that's entirely up to you as well. Now, what we're going to have a look at is how easy it is to go ahead and customize this yourself. So I've actually gone and created this My Dash section over here, which is very easily done. You can create another one just by clicking on the little cog at the top right-hand side over here. And you can basically just go and select some of these options here and create a new tab for yourself. Now, looking at what I've already got over here, I've got a bit of a sales pivot chart where you can see my items that I've purchased both last year and this year as well. And you can break that down into the various actual key items over here. Now, this is basically a standard pivot table that comes with the Boyum usability dashboards. And it also graphs a bit of the trend over here as well. I've also added another standard feature over here called the common functions, which allows me to essentially make a bit of a scratch pad over here of features from within the standard SAP Business One menu. This is very similar to the standard SAP Business One dashboards, the common functions. But when you turn on the Boyum dashboards, the standard SAP Business One dashboards basically are turned off. So they have replicated some of these functions in case users really like these particular features. And personally, I like the common functions, so I put that onto my dashboard over here today. All right, so having a look at some of the other things we can add to our dashboard over here. I'm just going to click into my cog over here again. And I'm going to go and select this option that says Add New Widget. Now, Boyum have called these various aspects you can add to your dashboard widgets. And you can see over here we've got different options. We've got our sales widgets, human resources widgets, opportunities. You can see there's a fair amount to choose from. And this by no means is the end of it. You can go and definitely go and create your own ones as well. And we'll have a look at that shortly as well. Then you can see some of the other widgets here. We've got the common functions, messaging and alerts, your open items list, which is always very useful, process flows, etc., etc. And all it really takes, I'm going to add the open items list to this particular one over here. So I'm just going to click OK. That will then pop up onto my screen. Here you can see it's added. And I can resize that to pretty much fit in however I want it. Just grab onto it like that. And you'll see immediately I've got sales quotations listed over here, but because it behaves pretty much like the standard SAP Business One open items list, I can basically view any document that I want from this view. So if I wanted to go and look at my AR invoices, I can see all of my invoices here with the total at the bottom, my outstanding debt. And of course, we can use our favorite SAP Business One drill down arrow over here to go straight into a particular invoice. So that's just one widget that you can add over here. And I'll just add one more for fun and have a look here at the bottom. There's a one that I've seen on quite a few of our customers' machines these days. It's the wall clocks, particularly with a lot more businesses working across hours and different locations these days. And you can add as many different wall clocks as you want over here so that you can make sure that you're on time for meetings or don't wake up some of your colleagues at the other side of the world. Okay, so that's basically how quick and easy it is to add different widgets to your dashboards. Now, what happens if you want to actually go and edit the underlying data that is coming off these particular dashboard widgets? So say, for instance, I actually wanted to get down to the underlying information that populates in the sales pivot view. What would I do? Basically, all you have to do is go to that, and you can go to Edit Dashboard Widgets over here. And you'll see a list of all of those widgets over here. And I want to get into that sales pivot view over there. So I just highlight that and click on the edit button. Now, one of the things you can do here as well is you can duplicate these views and create your own versions of it so you don't break the standard one. And what you'll see here is that Boyum have bundled in a fully featured dashboard editor as well. So you can see we've got all sorts of different options we can use here for components within our dashboards, including such things as geo heat maps and basically anything that you'd expect out of a modern dashboard kind of system. Now, this is obviously pulling data from a particular data set, and that's essentially a SQL query that has been written that populates that data from the database. So if I wanted to get to that information, all I have to do is click on the data source tab over here at the top, and I can go and click edit. And essentially what's going to show you is the underlying code that is executing here to give us the data that we want. And this particular one is actually a fairly complex view, as you can probably see. I'm not going to spend too much time on that because that might be a bit scary for some people. But essentially, this gives you a full ability to either link to queries that you've written using the query generator in SAP, or even if you've created a stored procedure in the database, you can then get to that information and create your own dashboards just by copying and pasting that code directly in here. And then you can go and mix and match that data and use all the different dashboard components over here to create the dashboards that you want to view. As you can see over here, you can control everything with regards to user authorizations as well. And you'll see that we have an option here with regards to web enable. And Boyum have recently added a really nice feature to the usability pack with regards to the dashboards, where you can actually go ahead and view these dashboards from a web browser. And then by extension, you can also view it on a mobile device. So I've actually got open a view of it over here. So I've logged into the Boyum dashboard portal on my server. And here you can see I've got my sales overview listed over here. So I can go now and publish this to all of my board members, for instance, and they don't need an SAP Business One license to view that. So it really makes it easy for them. They don't have to install any additional software on their laptops or anything like that. They can just go to a URL that's published and view the dashboards that we have in standard SAP Business One. So yeah, you can see them going into a purchase overview, and that will basically then load up pretty much exactly the same as you would do in the normal SAP Business One client. One of the nice things you can also do with the B1 dashboards is you can actually set up a schedule to deliver these dashboards to people within the organization. And that's also essentially done from that little tab at the top right-hand side. And I just click into my scheduling action over here. And I can then select which dashboards essentially go to a group of people. And it will basically just create a PDF of those dashboards and then email it to everyone. So again, you don't need to have a license for a person to receive those dashboards. So if it's really just a case of, for instance, a sales dashboard at the end of the week, or maybe the first thing in the morning that you can send to your team, you can basically have that running automatically in the background, and so get that information off to everyone in a nice graphically represented way as well. So that's a bit of a look at the B1 dashboards. As you can see, it's a really nice tool, and that's bundled out the box with B1UP, and requires very little configuration to get up and going with the standard dashboards that are delivered by Boyum. All right, then moving along, we're going to have a look now at one of my favorite features of Boyum, which is a simple little collection of tools that Boyum has created over a long period of time. Basically, they couldn't justify a single module for these little fixes, so they put them into one spot called the toolbox. And we'll now have a look at some of the features of the toolbox, and then basically show you how some of them work as well. I'm going to make use of my dashboard that I've created now. I'm going to use my common functions over here. And I'm just basically going to bring up the toolbox configuration. And all of these functions that I've listed here are standard Boyum functions that can be found. I'll just quickly show you under the administration, add-ons, B1 usability package over here. And most of them reside under the module configuration over there. All right, so if we open up the toolbox, what you'll immediately see is that we have a bunch of different tabs at the top over here, which basically relate to different aspects of SAP Business One. All right, so we'll quickly have a look at some of the good features over here, and some of the things that these options that they put in here can only really be appreciated by people that have used SAP Business One for I guess a decent amount of time, and there are certain elements that are basically special to SAP Business One, in particularly in data capture, that certain people don't like. And basically Boyum has given you the option here to change subtly how SAP Business One works so that it's more usable for the people that want that sort of stuff. So as a very simple example over here, for any kind of data capture screen that you use in SAP Business One, be it a sales order or a purchase order, when you go and into ad mode and you want to capture a sales order, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to drop you into the business partner code and not the business partner name. And for a lot of people, that's annoying because most people search on name rather than on code. And Boyum said, well, we'll easily fix that. We'll put in a little option here called start in name field. And that's essentially all it does. It's really easy. And you can see we've got this particular field over here on business partners, on items, on various screens throughout the toolbox. And you can actually go into particular screens and turn it on and off if you want, or it will work across the board. Just to give you a quick idea of what that looks like. So if we go into the business partner master data screen now, you'll see now it's gone straight into the name field and not the code field. So there's no need to have to go in and click or tab or anything like that. So I can just obviously type in the name and find, and hey presto, we're ready to go. And likewise with the sales order, any kind of normal document, you'll see it goes straight to the name field over there. So no need to have to click through anything. Simple, but a lot of my customers I know find that to be really useful. It's the small little things that save you time over a long period of time. So Boyum to the rescue in that respect. All right, then some of the other things that I personally like, ability to create mandatory checks on certain things as well. So if you're capturing a new business partner, for instance, you can tick this little box over here to say use a mandatory bill to and a mandatory ship to address, as well as a contact person. You can decide whether or not you want to create an error, as in block the user from adding it until they've added that information, or just give them a pop-up warning dialog box that says you haven't captured a bill to address for this this customer or supplier. You want to proceed. And it's good with regards to discipline and data capture. So that's one thing I like quite a lot. One of the favorite features of Boyum that people like a lot is the ability to show the flags of the business partner as well. So I'll just quickly show up customer over here, and you can see we've got the Australian flag over here. And that basically supports all the flags that we work with essentially. All right. Okay, then with regards to the item selection over here, it works pretty much the same thing. You can start in your description field as well. And then moving along to our actual documents. So our documents are referring to our sales orders, purchase orders, all of our working documents. And you can see again, you can turn on flags, start in name field. There are plenty and plenty of options over here that are basically cool to go and explore. I'm not going to go through them all today because it'd be here for quite a long time. But just to give you another one that some people don't like, especially new users of SAP Business One, is when you're capturing a new sales document or purchase document, and you click that add button, SAP Business One basically clears up the screen ready for the next one. And a lot of people that are new to SAP Business One want to be able to see that document that they've just added. So Boyum has added an option here to basically say as soon as you add a particular document, we'll just bring that over, and you can choose which one you want. I'm using sales order as an example here. As soon as you add the document, it's going to automatically reload the document for you. You've just added so that you can see that it's in the system and that it's correct. So we'll just do a quick example over here now, just so I can explain that. We'll just add any item, doesn't really matter. And our delivery address, and click add. And automatically it loads it up again. So again, something small, but I know a lot of users out there like that. So that's something that is definitely quite useful. Then moving on to banking, they've got a nice little feature here as well that allows you to set defaults, particularly around your outgoing payments and incoming payment accounts, the default payment type that you want to use as well. So you can take out a couple of steps when you're doing your incoming and outgoing payments, which is also quite useful. And again, starting in the name field, you can do that. Then they have a tab here called Usability, which basically are sort of sundry things that enhance the SAP Business One experience, but don't relate to any particular document. So some of the things that they've added in here is the ability to make the query generator window a bit bigger, because that's pretty small by default. Then some of the more recent stuff that they've added, which is really useful, is the ability to auto fit column widths. Now, I'm sure most of our users have opened up screens in SAP Business One where you might have one of these columns that is sort of chopped off a bit. And then ordinarily you have to go to view and fit column width. And that will then resize everything, kind of like how you do in Microsoft Excel. Now, Boyum has heard the cries from people about how SAP hasn't really come to the party on that one. So they've added this tick box over here, auto column fit. So if you have that enabled, whenever you open a form, it's going to automatically resize all the columns to fit all that data in for you. So again, something simple, but really useful. And then some recent ones they've added as well, preventing star entries. And that essentially means quite a lot of people, especially new users, when they are doing a find, particularly around adding master data things like that. They will forget that they're in find mode, in add mode, and essentially they will basically go into add mode and put a star in like that, thinking they're in find mode, trying to find a list of everyone, and then add a business partner called star. So Boyum will basically go and look for instances like that, and it will warn you and say, you're probably not meaning to do this. Just check what mode you're in and things like that. So, and you can do that across a number of different types of items in SAP Business One, from business partner master data, item master data, assets, item groups, and warehouses. So just another way that they're keeping or trying to keep your data clean. And then preventing duplicate entries, particularly around master data. So you can see the options we have here, again, the same ones over here. So if you try and add a business partner with the same name, but with a different code, then essentially it can pop up a warning message telling you that you're going to do that. In fact, you can actually also block it as well. So it gives you a bit of an option there, like a soft versus a hard warning. So, and that's good because I know the consultants essentially do quite a lot of customization systems around writing code to stop duplicates and things like that. And Boyum's just basically made it nice and easy for people to put that in now without needing to do further customization or code writing and things like that. And then the last thing we're going to have a look at, and this is only probably a small number of our users, but for anyone that uses user-defined tables in SAP Business One, and by those I'm basically referring to anything that anyone that uses these tables, which are basically tables you can create in Business One for any particular reason. You might have some sort of customized functionality that one of the consultants has written for you, but you may have sensitive information in that table that you don't want anyone to see. And by default in SAP Business One, pretty much all users are able to view user-defined tables. So Boyum took it upon themselves to help us out there, and by using the user-defined windows over here, you can actually control access on certain user-defined tables. So if you do have sensitive information here, you can just lock off that to only a select number of users by using this tool over here. All right, so that's our toolbox. So you can see a couple of nice little features in there which can help you on your day-to-day, make things a bit more efficient and user-friendly. All right, then the next thing we're going to have a look at is our mandatory fields. And mandatory fields are a critical component of getting your users to capture data in the right way. Otherwise, you end up with a database full of junk, unfortunately, at the end of the day. And the mandatory fields keeps everyone on the straight and narrow, essentially. So Boyum have made this really easy as well. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at our business partner master data screen, which is probably a candidate for one of the most important ones to make sure that we keep correct. So what we'll do here is go to one of our existing business partners. And one thing you may notice immediately is that my mobile phone number over here is actually, it's got an orange background. And so that's something we definitely can't do in standard SAP Business One, but that's basically a configuration that I've already done to tell users that that is a mandatory field over there and that they need to fill out information. You don't have to use colors, but you absolutely can. Boyum gives you that flexibility. So once you've installed the B1 usability pack, you'll see that when you right-click on a number of menus in SAP Business One, that you get a lot of different extra options over here. And it, of course, will depend on your authorization as well. Now, you can actually get to the toolbox directly from here as well, but a lot of the important features of Boyum can be found directly here. So adding buttons to your screen, like you can see over here, I've got a quick button link to my activities and aging report over here. That's where you control that. Item placement, you can move user-defined fields or fields around on the form. And what we're going to be looking at today, though, is edit the mandatory fields configuration. And that brings up a box over here. And it's going to list out all the fields on this particular form that I've got listed as being mandatory. And you can control aspects such as how the user will perceive that as well. So is it going to pop up a message box, or is it just going to be a red error message in the status bar at the bottom left-hand side over here? And basically, I've just got it set as a simple message box over here. And you can see as well that I've listed that my marked mandatory fields is listed at this orange color with white text. That stands out a bit as well. And this doesn't necessarily have to be across the board. You can include and exclude users, so you can really customize it. If there's only a few people in the organization that need to be kept in the straight and narrow, then you can limit it to a few users. Generally speaking, though, we would advise to keep it to everyone. All right, so let's have a look at what it does. So I'm going to just clear that out as though we haven't put anything in there, and just put in another phone number, because that's not a mandatory field. And if I click the update button now, it gives us a pop-up dialog box. The following fields are mandatory in mobile phone. Now, ordinarily, pop-up dialog boxes are a rarity in standard SAP Business One from a customizing perspective. Consultants, unfortunately, don't have the ability to do that, to have pop-up dialog boxes like that. You'd actually have to write a SAP Business One add-on to do that. And again, that's a fantastic feature of Boyum, is that it gives you the access to be able to pop up dialog boxes, not just the red error messages at the bottom of the screen that you might see from time to time. So I'm going to put in just a random number and click update, and you'll see now that that dialog box isn't popping up anymore. And you can basically go ahead and find all those really important fields that sometimes people get a bit lazy about, your contact persons, addresses, etc., etc. And as we saw in the toolbox as well, we don't even have to use a mandatory field function there. We can use the one in the toolbox, because that's really out the box. You just have to turn that on, and it will start checking that sort of stuff or warning people for you. All right, and that mandatory field configuration can be used in just about any form in SAP Business One as well. All right, moving on to our next one. So we're going to have a look at a really, really popular feature of the Boyum Usability Pack, and that is the automation of exchange rates. Okay. So a lot of our customers will be very aware of the exchange rates and indexes section in SAP Business One, which is this screen over here. Now, we can set a setting in the general settings and administration to pop this up if you're a super user or a designated user, so that it reminds you to fill out the exchange rates for the morning. Otherwise, if you don't fill those out and you do a foreign currency transaction, SAP will ask you politely for that particular rate for the currency that you're using. Now, that can be a bit painful from time to time, particularly if a user is trying to capture a purchase order to Europe, for instance, and they don't know what the rate is. And maybe the finance person hasn't come in for that morning quite yet. And so if you can somehow find a way to automate the extraction of these foreign currency rates rather than having to get a person to do it, fantastic. That's exactly what Boyum did. So I'm going to click into the option exchange rates configuration, and it's a very simple setup, very easy to turn on. And basically what you're seeing here are pretty much the options that you have. And luckily for us here in Australia, we have the Reserve Bank of Australia listed over here. And for our neighbours in New Zealand, we also have Westpac New Zealand as well. So we sort it from an Australian-New Zealand perspective. But as you can see, that there are a number of different options here. We even have the European Central Bank and all sorts of other options as well. And you also have the ability to get specific tailor foreign subscription services and things like that for rates that update sort of more often, that do require a separate subscription, but the data will be more accurate. The Reserve Bank of Australia rates, to the best of my knowledge at least, is updated only once a day. So if you want those rates to be updated multiple times per day, you'd have to look at another kind of subscription service like O&O over here. All right, so how this basically works is when a user logs into SAP Business One, it will do the check for you, get back the rates from the Reserve Bank, and then write it through into the table over here for you. Now, if you don't necessarily have users logging in at a particular time, maybe a weekend, for instance, you can actually get the Boyum Usability Pack, what we call the server component, and it will go and update those rates for you, even if no one is logged in. And that's just a little component that sits on your SAP server. And we'll just go and ping the Reserve Bank for you and write that information through SAP's API for you, and keep everything nicely up to date. And you can see even if there's some sort of an error with regards to getting those rates, I can have that sent to my email address over here so that I know if something is untoward. And if for some reason you don't want to use the server component and you haven't updated the rates for quite some time, maybe someone didn't log in, maybe we were all on holiday, you can actually say fill in the indicated days back if missing. So it'll actually look back, I've got to set to the last 10 days. And if they aren't filled, then it will go and fill in those last 10 days for me just to keep my history of rates current. All right, so fantastic feature there from Boyum. In fact, if you want to set the rates right from here as well, you just click the button over here and it will then go direct to the web service that you've chosen, which is the Reserve Bank, and go and fetch those rates for you. All right, the next thing we're going to have a look at is a fundamental component of the usability pack that has pretty much been in the software since day one. And that is what we call a universal function. All right, so let's jump back into Business One. And I'll probably need to explain a little bit about what this actually is, because it fits into, it's a piece in a puzzle essentially. And some of the things that makes Boyum truly unique, or the usability pack at least, is the fact that you can write these universal functions. And there are many different types of universal functions, and we can basically just have a look at what they are, but essentially what they are actions that are happening in your system. So you basically want something to happen, and you're going to trigger that action based on some event, or by someone clicking a button, or some other function essentially. So what we're looking at now is essentially the action that is going to take place. And as you can see, Boyum gives you quite a lot of different action types, and some of them are pretty advanced for some of our more advanced users and developers. You even have the ability now to post information to tools such as Microsoft Teams or Slack. So based on some trigger in Business One, maybe you've added a sales order, you can then post that information back to Microsoft Teams so that your sales team know that there's been a sale or something like that. Then we have a lot of our really useful stuff like our line loops and macros. And the line loops basically allow you to scroll through all the lines of, as an example, a sales order and check for correctness of data. So it can scroll through all of the 50 lines of your example sales order and check if there are any mistakes or any conditions that we've set that aren't within range, and then pop up a dialog box or stop the user or some other event essentially. Macros are fantastic because it works just like a Microsoft Excel macro. It allows us to actually invisibly click around SAP Business One and bring up certain forms. So as a brief little example, what we can do with that is on our goods received PO document when we're receiving stock, maybe we want to have a link on our purchase on our goods received PO to bring up the landed cost document. And you can use the macro functionality to go and literally click into the menu, open up the landed cost document, and copy the business partner from your goods received PO, the code, and paste it into that form for us, all by literally the click of one button. So it allows a lot of automation, the macro stuff. Today we're going to be looking at a really simple one that pretty much anyone can get to grips with, and that's essentially the pop-up message dialog box. And I've got a really simple example today, but it's just really to kind of give you an idea of the sorts of things that we can automate. All right, so what I've done basically is I've created my universal function over here, call it message 01, and I've selected message type over here, and I've just put in a little dialog box message that says here, VIP, just a flag it a bit, please ensure that this customer is properly looked after. And I actually have an option at the bottom over here called block event, and if you were using that dialog box more as a check of the data, you could actually block the person from adding a particular document until they fix that data essentially. In this particular case, we're using it just as a kind of an information dialog box. So we're just going to let it pop up. They can click OK and then continue on. So I'll close that down, and we're going to jump into a sales order just so that we can have a look at exactly how I've set up this little example. So I'm going to punch in my customer, MaxiTech, over here. And just to show you, I'm going to go into the business partner and show you that on the properties tab over here, I've set up a property called VIP customer. And I basically tick them so that I know that MaxiTech is one of my VIP customers and they need to be looked after. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I need to somehow invoke that universal function, and we've got these things called validations in Boyum. So I can go and add a validation to a particular document. And what this validation, all it's really going to do is it's going to fire off my universal function when the user clicks the add button. So it's a really simple one. And what it's really going to do is it's going to execute this little piece of SQL code over here. And don't worry about trying to work out what the code means. All it really is going to do is it's going to look back to the business partner. It's going to look at that property. And if it's ticked as being a VIP customer, it says there, select option 1. And option 1 is over here. And option 1 is then linked to my universal function. So essentially, if he's a VIP customer, fire off our universal function there to pop up our dialog box. And as you can see over here, it's on our add event and on our sales order. So just to show you really, let's select any item and a delivery date and click the add button, and there's our pop-up dialog box. Don't forget to look after that VIP customer, and you click OK, and it will then add the document for you. So a really simple example, but it kind of gives you an idea of how you can inform your users as well of specific situations, and very easily. That sort of validation would take you probably 5 minutes to put together. Okay. All right, so the last thing that we're going to have a look at today is the sources of help with regards to the Boyum Usability Pack. Now, when you purchase the Boyum Usability Pack, it's pretty often that the sales guys will put a bit of consulting time in there to obviously install the product for you, but also potentially to train you a bit on it as well. Now, there are a lot of features of the usability pack, so much so that one of our consultants could probably keep you busy for a week. So obviously that's not realistic. So what Boyum have done over the years is they've compiled a massive amount of YouTube videos with regards to all the different sources of help you can use in the system, but also how all the different functions work with step-by-step instructions on how you can go ahead and do that. So first and foremost, we have a link to the Boyum YouTube page, which we'll send out later on so that everyone has that link. And so I've actually got that open already. I just want to have a quick show of that one. And so if you follow that link, you'll get to Boyum's YouTube page, and it's basically listed as being B1 Usability Package e-learning. And Boyum have basically grouped everything together by main function. So you can see here's the B1 dashboards that we had a look at earlier, and they'll have a full-on presentation of all the different features that it can do. And as you can see over here, just by count, they've got 28 different videos of all the different things you can do in B1 dashboards. So you can see there's in-depth e-learning here with regards to how you can go ahead and make your own dashboards. And that's all self-learning stuff. It's all doable by pretty much all of our users. Having a look at things like the universal functions, so what we just had a look at, you can see that there are plenty of different videos here to use the universal functions in at least 32 different ways. So all of those different options we saw when I dropped down on that list, all of them are listed here with examples. For instance, here's the one that shows you how to post to Slack or to Microsoft Teams over here. And that's not all. I mean, you can see that there's stuff about the toolbox and print and delivery as well, which is one of the major extensions of the usability pack, which really kind of helps you process your emailing out of documents and printing and things like that, which is a very popular tool within the microchannel customer base. Then the other good way to find help within Boyum itself is looking for that little symbol over there. All right, so that's a typical help symbol, and Boyum are very good with regards to their help aspect. So if I go into, say for instance, the main configuration for the B1 usability pack, and this is essentially how we turn on the various aspects of it. You don't have to turn on all of them, but you turn on what you want. There's the B1 dashboard as an example. There's our little help symbol. We just click on that, and you've got detailed help over here. that is truly detailed, I can assure you. And they'll have links to the YouTube page as well over here. And it's really good help, just as good as SAP's main help as well. But you can also get a little inline help as well by clicking on question marks like that, and I'll give you a brief little example of what that is and what it is. And you can click on the full help button over there, and it will take you through to that main section. So the combination of the help and usability pack directly in the product, as well as those YouTube videos, you should definitely have a good library to work with in order to get to grips with the various aspects and all the different features within the system. And lastly, of course, is the micro-channel SAP Business One consultants. All of our consultants are experts in the usability pack, and I'd be very happy to help wherever possible with any idea for automation or customization that you may have. Bear in mind that with the usability pack installed, the ability to deliver on ideas for automation and checks and all sorts of things like that is vastly superior to the standard SAP Business One customization. So you basically, your imagination is the limit most of the times with regards to this. So see if you can challenge one of our consultants to roll out some really cool functionality for your SAP Business One system. All right, then lastly, we're going to have a look at some of the other Boyum solutions, some of them you may be aware of. Firstly, we're just going to have a look at obviously the main component, Boyum's original product, which is the usability pack, which we've been talking about today. Then as part of the usability pack, we have print and delivery, and that's Boyum's fantastic emailing tool with regards to emailing out your invoices or your statements or anything like that. And it allows a huge amount of customizability with regards to attaching documents and having specific distribution groups and things like that as well. Generally speaking, most customers will bundle print and delivery with the usability pack when they purchase it. And then B1 MailChimp, if anyone is a MailChimp user with regards to doing mail shots and marketing and things like that, what that enables you to do is it allows you to sync your SAP Business One custom contact list with your MailChimp contact list. So basically just syncs through to the cloud and keeps it in check for you so that you're working with one data set rather than two. Then onto some more of Boyum's products. We have what we call CRM for Outlook. And this is a great tool as well, which installs onto your B1 server, but also into your Outlook, and allows a far superior feature set of tools compared to the Outlook integration that SAP provides out the box. It also allows you to create documents directly from Outlook, sales orders and sales quotes, Business One activities. It basically uses all the standard CRM capability in SAP Business One, but allows you to do a lot of it directly from within Outlook. And it doesn't matter if your server is sitting in the cloud or if it's sitting on premise, it all syncs up using Boyum's cloud connector technology and works fantastically well. Then B1UP payment is a fantastic tool with regards to processing of credit card transactions. If you by any chance take credit card payments from your customers and you have an FPOS terminal sitting next to your machine, this is a great way to get rid of that FPOS terminal, because essentially your SAP Business One then behaves like an FPOS terminal. So you'll have another tab added to your sales order, your invoice, or your AR invoice forms in SAP Business One. And your SAP Business One will then talk directly to the payment gateways and basically do token transfer of credit card information between the two systems. And by doing that, it's still completely PCI compliant from a safety perspective and everything. So you will not be keeping customers' credit card numbers in your SAP Business One database. It's a fantastic tool as well. And if you're looking to potentially automate your credit card transaction processing a bit more, then I would definitely reach out to your account manager in that respect. Then onto our logistics systems, and this is particularly around the two major acquisitions that Boyum recently made. Boyum Manufacturing out of Switzerland is an advanced manufacturing tool for process manufacturing, which basically takes SAP virtually to enterprise SAP levels of manufacturing. Very, very in-depth functionality there. And if you do have any complex manufacturing requirements, BAS is definitely a fantastic option there. Then Project Mix WMS and Project Mix Scan. We recently did a webinar on Project Mix Scan, which you can find on our YouTube page. You can look about the functionality around that. It's basically a lightweight scanning tool that's built on SAP standard logistics processes. And Project Mix WMS is essentially a standalone warehouse management system with a lot more advanced functionality in that regard. So if you are looking for some sort of a scanning solution or warehouse management systems, Boyum has some fantastic capability there as well. All right, then just a recap of the benefits of the Boyum B1 Usability Pack. So the main thing here is really that you're going to be improving your accuracy. You're going to be getting benefits from those fantastic dashboards as well. And it just basically allows you to achieve a lot more with a fantastic product that SAP Business One is, but it really just takes it to the next level with regards to the kind of things that you can do with it from a customization perspective.